Gude and welcome to this video. If you follow my videos for some time, you probably know that I love working with Python virtual environments, or venvs. And in this video I will show you why you should use Python virtual environments too, how you set them up, use them, and finally remove them on Linux, Windows and macOS. And before going into the actual topic, I received the real-life feedback that my German accent is pretty strong. And honestly, I have no idea what this means, because I think that my accent is pretty, how heißt's dann, like a native speaker. So I think that this is meant as a compliment. so just kidding, sorry for that. But without further ado, let's start with the topic. But first, what are Python virtual environments, or venvs? So with Python virtual environments, you can have multiple instances of several Python versions of multiple packages that are installed in parallel. So each Python venv does not affect other parallel existing Python virtual environments, which is pretty cool if you run tests on various Python projects in parallel that might require different Python versions or different dependencies. This is for one reason pretty cool, because if you play around with machine learning, AI technology and open source projects that rely mostly on different Python versions and require lots of dependencies and packages, this is really super helpful. There are lots of positive aspects on Python virtual environments, but here are my top 3 of the benefits. You can have multiple Python versions in parallel and use them pretty easy. You can install all the packages that are just required for one testing purpose without messing up other Python packages and projects you are playing with. And you can have one package in multiple versions for doing multiple testing stuff. And as the last one, so a benefit, the number 4 of my top 3 list is you will not mess up your system-wide used Python environment. And these are, in my case, the benefits of using a Python virtual environment. Please let me know in the comment box below what you think, or do you not use Python venvs yet? And by the way, if you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comment box below on what you think. Thank you. But now let's start by using Python virtual environments on Microsoft Windows. And as you can see here on my Explorer side, I've installed Python 3.8 and 3.10 in my app data local programs directory, which is done automatically if you run the Python installer. That might be different if you use Microsoft Store, but I've installed the Python packages by using the Python.org download page. And I've created a new folder here on the right Windows side. I hope the font size is high enough so you hopefully can read all the stuff here. Let's create a new folder. Let's make it test1 and switch into test1. So new and empty directory. And now let's create a Python virtual environment in Python version 3.8. So let's go in here and run Python exe. So let's move it here with a minus uppercase V for version. So this is Python version 3.8.10 as expected. And now let's create a virtual environment with that by running -m venv. And now you can specify a directory where these files or folders that are required for this virtual environment should be put in. And in my earlier videos, I've made just a dot. This works, but it makes cleaning up the virtual environment a little bit more difficult, so I would recommend you to choose a different name. Very popular is just to call it venv. And the dot at the beginning, the first character, is really helpful because most operating systems hide files and folders that start with a dot. So if you do not want to mess up your view in the Explorer on the command line, you mostly can use a dot beginning folder or file name. Unless, as in my case, I have enabled on my system configuration to show these so-called hidden files. But starting with a dot is not a bad idea to keep everything nice and clean. You will often see this .venv, but in my case, let's make it a little bit more specific and let's call it test-py 3.8, because I will use Python version 3.8.10 to create this venv virtual environment. Let's run it. And now let's take a look. We now can see this .testpy3.8 directory, and to activate, no, first of all, let's take a look inside. So let's take a look in the directory, and you can see some default folders and files that come with every Python virtual environment, such as include, lib, scripts directory, and a configuration file. So, but how do we use or so-called activate this Python virtual environment? This is pretty simple on every operating system, but it's a little bit different on Microsoft Windows. So let's activate it here on Windows by running this testpy, then /scripts, and then activate.bat.batch. And now, as you can see by this prefix in the brackets here, we have this name we have defined while creating the venv, this .testpy3.8. And if I run now, simply Python, so no special version, just Python minus uppercase V for version, we can see that this is automatically mapped to Python 3.8.10. And now, just for the fun, let's do the same process for Python 3.10, which is also installed on my system. So let's open a new command line prompt and move here. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Hopefully you can read it nevertheless. Let's create a new folder called test2. Really creative. So let's go inside there. Nothing inside at the moment. And let's choose Python 3.10. Run it here. Let's see the version. So now, while running Python 3.10 exe, obviously we have Python 3.10.11 as a version output. Now let's run this again with the module venv, and let's create test minus py3.10. Process finished. Directory is here. Let's activate it the same way we did previously. Scripts activate bat. Again, you can see this brackets with the venv name. And now let's run Python minus v. And if things go right, now there should be the output of running in Python 3.10 version. And here we are. So you can see hopefully the difference. We are running Python minus v, so the same command in both worlds, Python minus v, and the version is different. So you do not have to struggle if you have multiple Python versions installed. Okay, which Python version am I using at the moment? So just run Python command and it will choose the right version inside your Python virtual environment, which is pretty cool. Because let's be honest, I've run into lots of struggles and problems because I thought I would run a command in a specific Python version, but obviously I did run it in the wrong version. So this is pretty helpful if you have multiple Python versions installed. And now, as an example, let's install one package in multiple versions. So for example, let's make it the torch. If you run with machine learning and AI technology, you are probably familiar with PyTorch. So let's install it in both worlds. Let's make the desk a little bit clean. So we can see we have this Python virtual environment in version 3.10 and in 3.8. You do not have to change the version, so you can have multiple venvs in Python 3.8 or multiple venvs in Python 3.10. So there's no need to run venvs in different Python versions. You can stick with one major Python version and just have multiple venvs for experimenting and playing around with multiple package versions. But in this case, let's stay with this example. And let's install pip install torch. Process finished. Let's run pip list command. And we can see I've installed Torch in version 2.0.1 and some dependent packages also. And let's do this on the other Python virtual environment with a different Torch version. For example, version 1.11.0. So let's run pip install torch 1.11.0 and process finish 2. And as you might have seen by the design, the download has been visualized. So on the right Windows side with Python version 3.8, there has been this progress bar, and here we have this progress bar, but it's a slightly other design on how the progress of the downloads are visualized. So this seems a difference between Python version 3.10 and 3.8. But nevertheless, let's see our pip list command. And now you can see we have the same package, so torch, installed in version 1.11.0 and 2.0.1. This is pretty cool. And I think that this is really helpful in lots of use cases. But please share your thoughts in the comment box below. Thank you. And if you are done using your Python virtual environment and you want to leave this venv, this is super simple. So right now you see your defined name, so this test py 310 in the brackets. And if you run simply deactivate, you can see that this prefix is missing now and you have left your Python venv. If you run pip list now, you can see that this is slightly different. So torch is missing and this typing extensions is missing. So this is the pip listing from your system-wide configuration without being active in any Python virtual environment. And if you would like to remove your complete Python virtual environment, there's no special command, but please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that. You have to remove the complete folder. So in my case, this .testpy3.10 folder. And if you just create your Python venv with that dot alone, all the lib and include files are created in your folder and you have to remove multiple files and folders. And in this case, it's super easy. So just remove this one folder and your complete Python virtual environment is gone. So let's remove this Python virtual environment by running on Windows remove directory /s .testpy. Are you sure? Yes. And that's it. So no Python virtual environment existing anymore. That's super easy. And now I'd say let's move on to Linux. I will not again explain you the benefits of Python virtual environments as I did before showing you the Windows process, but instead on Linux and Mac OS I will just show you the steps on how to set it up, use it and remove it. So for this I'm connected with two Windows on one Ubuntu system, and in my directory SSD YouTube, which is apart from Piper directory, basically empty. So let's create two new folders called test1 and test2, just to show you this is the same system. So test1, test2. And I will use this one test directory to create a Python virtual environment for my Python 3.9 environment here. And in the second directory, the same, but on each Python virtual environment, I will install a different torch version as I did in the Windows example. So let's start with the test1 directory. Let's move into. Let's first of all see our Python 3.9 version, so 3.9.5, and run it with the module venv. And again, let's start the name with a dot to be a hidden file directory structure, so to keep directory listings nice and clean. So let's make it py -test1, and let's take a look to the directory listing. Without any arguments, you see obviously nothing. And now let's list with the hidden files, and now you can see this .py test1 directory. And other as in Windows, we can now activate this Python virtual environment by running source, then the py test bin activate. And now again, you see in the brackets the name we have defined while creating this Python virtual environment. And let's run pip list. The front camera is always at the wrong position. So now you can see by default we have pip, package resources and setup tools. Now let's install the torch package. Let's install the torch package with correctly spelled install parameter. But maybe let me know in the comments, is my face cam better on the upper side? Is it better on the... Oh, no, that's wrong. Let me know where you would like, or maybe you would like to not see my face, but let me know in the comments on what you think on which design should be the best. Installation completed. Let's check pip list again. And here we are. So Torch in the latest release 2.0.1. And now let's move on to the right window and let's go into our test2 directory, which is still empty. And now let's create Python 3.9 minus venv py test2 virtual environment. Process finished. And I guess I really tell a lot of Python virtual environment, Python virtual environment, Python venv. So maybe, I guess now you know what this video is about. So sorry for the repetition of Python virtual environment. So let's take a look again. And now we have this py test2 directory. We can just for the fun take a look inside this directory. And as on Windows, we have this default file structure, the bin, include, and lib folders, share, and the configuration file. So nothing too special there. Let's again activate this one by running source py test2 bin activate. And now we are inside our test2 Python virtual environment, just in case you do not know what this video is about. And let's run pip list. So you can see no torch package installed at the moment. Let's run pip install with ll and torch and specify version 1.11.0, just for example. Done. And now let's run pip list again. And now you can see we are on one system. We have on the one side in this test1 thing, torch in version 2, and on the test2 directory we have torch in version 1.11. So this basically works as expected. And to leave this Python magical box, I will not name now again, just type deactivate, and as you can see, the prefix with the name of the magical box has disappeared, and we are now in our system-wide Python environment. And if you would like to remove your thing, just enter remove minus py test2, and ta-da, that's all, system clear. And now this is a good time to go on to macOS. And for this last demonstration of Python virtual environments, in this case on macOS, I'm moving my facecam to the upper left frame. So we had lower left, upper right, upper, so my face has been over the place in this video, so sorry for the confusion. But please again, let me know on the feedback, on the face cam, on the font size, and all of this stuff, so maybe I can adjust it to make it more attractive. So not my face, but the visualization of all the stuff. Please let me know in the comment box below. And by the way, please subscribe to my channel if you not have done already. Thank you. And for this demonstration, I'm connected with some screen sharing protocol on my MacBook Air. So the performance of the screen visualization is really annoying, but it should do the job, hopefully. So I've created a new and empty directory called YouTube in my user home directory. And this is empty. And now let's see our Python version in general on the system-wide side. So Python 3.10.11 is installed on my MacBook Air. And now let's run Python 3 minus venv, and let's call it Mac venv. Done. And again, with just a listing, you cannot see this hidden .macvenv file, or directory in this case. So let's see with the hidden files. Here we are. And the same activation process as it's done on Linux. Just Windows is a little bit special on this. So let's run source macvenv bin activate. Here we are in the brackets, again, our defined name. Let's run pip list. Nothing too special. Install the latest version of Torch. Let's run pip list. And here we are. So Torch is installed in the latest release 2.0.1. And now let's deactivate this venv and create another one. So let's go down the command history. And let's call it Torch 1, for example. Let's see the directories. Let's again run source mac torch 1 bin activate and run it. Now inside this special torch 1 pip list. So no torch installed, obviously. Let's install Torch in special version 1.11.0. Done. Pip list Torch 1.11. So, and just for the demonstration, let's once again switch back to our not Torch 1 Python venv. So first activate and activate the original created Python virtual environment. This one. List Torch in version 2. As you can see, it is super easy with Python virtual environments or venvs to have multiple instances of Python versions and installed dependencies in parallel. And I really like this a lot because you can use all of this without any struggling with your system-wide Python configuration. And again, if you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments on what you think. And if you like my content in general, a subscription is highly appreciated. So thank you all for watching. Have a nice day. And if you like, we might see us next time. Bye.